The new year is here and everyone's talking about goals and resolutions. But what if I told you there's a better way? One that puts God at the center of your plans. If you're ready to stop chasing empty goals and start walking in God's purpose for your life, this is the episode for you. As someone who leans more toward type A, I'm excited about this topic because I truly believe that a goal without a plan is just a wish. As Christians, we want to take this even further. We don't want to create goals. We want to create meaningful, God-centered goals for the new year. And instead of following the world's formula of hustle and grind, we're going to focus on aligning our goals with God's will so we can glorify Him in everything we do. So to achieve God-centered goals, we have to understand, number one, why God-centered goals even matter. So if you're new to setting God-centered goals, you may be wondering, what's the difference between setting worldly goals and God-centered goals? And the difference lies between your focus and motivation. So here's a chart to help you better understand the difference. So for worldly goals, as you can see, it centers more on self, your personal desires, your achievements, or societal standards. Okay? And if you take a look at the worldly goals, we can see that it's more rooted towards, glorifying God, serving others, fulfilling God's purpose for your life. So here are some examples that showcase the difference between worldly and God-centered goals. So a worldly goal could be, I want to be rich to feel successful. I like having money sitting in the bank and being able to brag to my friends that I'm rich. That's a worldly goal, right? A God-centered goal is, I want to have wealth so I can support my family, help those in need, and be in a position to dedicate more time and resources to further God's kingdom. Here's another example. I want to be famous so people will admire me. A God-centered goal is, I want to use my platform to point people toward Christ. Can you see the difference? The main difference is that worldly goals focus solely on you as the beneficiary and your whatever it is that you desire. I kind of view worldly goals as being a spoiled brat. God-centered goals focus on fulfilling your purpose and service to others and ensuring that your ambitions are aligned with Christ. So we're supposed to live our lives as conduits. God doesn't bless us for no reason. Our blessings are to flow to other people. We're blessed to be a blessing to someone else. So as Christians, our ultimate goal should be to honor God. We really should not be setting earthly goals. So in Colossians 3:2, it says, set your mind on things above and not on earthly things. And even Proverbs 16:3 states that commit your works to the Lord and your plans will be established. When we prioritize God in our planning, we're setting ourselves up for true success. Did you know that God has written a book for each one of us? It's true. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Psalm 139:16, and it reads, your eyes have saw my unformed body, all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. The only way you're going to be able to discover all the wonderful plans God has in store for your life is contingent on the goals you set for your life. God is omnipotent and knows where all the traps Satan has set are located, so it only makes sense to include him in your decision-making process. This brings us to step number 2. Pray before you plan. Before you grab your planner to create a prayer board or just to plan for the future, start with prayer. It's important to ask God to reveal His plans for your life this year. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us that His plans are good and they give us hope in a future. And if we want God to reveal those plans to us, we must spend time with Him to reflect and seek His guidance. Listen, I don't care how busy you get. You're not going anywhere fast if you fail to incorporate God in your decision-making process. Okay, it's not going to happen. Been there, done that. You're just setting yourself up for failure. And to further reinforce that God is involved in your goal-setting process, you need to make sure that you anchor your goals in Scripture. Okay, the Bible is filled with wisdom that can guide your goals, and to each their own. But I write down a list of my God-centered goals that I want to achieve, and then I go search for keywords from that goal, via Google, so I can find verses that coincide with that goal. And so, for example, one of my major goals is to become more grateful. So then I could do a Google search on verses that coincide with me being more grateful. I write down all the verses that resonate with me the most, and then I do this for each one of my goals. So once I've done this, now I'm ready to transform my goals into God-glorifying steps and build a powerful routine. So once you've prayed and identified your goals, it's time to break them into actionable steps. And the best way to go about doing this is creating SMART goals, because SMART goals allow you the ability to effectively track your progress. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the term SMART goals, no worries. It is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So let's dive into specific. So at some point in time, I'm sure we've all said, I want to achieve XYZ. Now, think back to how many times you achieved that goal. Kudos to those of you who accomplish your goal, but I'm going to guess that most of the folks out there, this goal most likely is going to remain on your to-do list. All right. Therefore, if you're seeking to reduce the time and the items that are on your list, you need to make sure that you are specific as possible. So if my goal is I want to grow my relationship with God, that's incredibly vague. I want to grow my relationship with God by meditating on His Word and participating in a Bible study. That's more specific. And shameless plug in the event, ladies, that this is something that you wish to do, I want you to check out our Single Avenue Squad community, and that will be in the description. All right. Next, measurable. You have to be able to quantify your progress. How often are you going to spend time with God? Looking to grow in faith and business? Single Avenue Squad empowers Christian women to shine. Join us today. Achievable. How do you plan on spending time with God? Well, are you going to do it in the morning, in the evening? Where are you going to spend time with God? What are you going to read? What are you going to listen to? You need a game plan. Here are some examples of how you could go about doing that. So I will further my relationship by reading the Bible in the morning. I know that fear is a major reason for me being all in with God. So I'm going to read these 10 verses regarding fear and see how it applies to my life. And then I'm going to join the Single Avenue Squad community Bible study mastermind to help me further reinforce my goals. So then next we have realistic. So let's be real, life can get in the way. How will you ensure that you spend time with God every day? Are you willing to do it the first thing in the morning so you could set the tone for your day? Are you going to study before you end the day? How often are you going to attend Bible study? Once a week, bi-weekly, monthly? Are you willing to set aside time and obtain the necessary resources so you could develop your relationship with God? If not, then you're not going to achieve this goal. Staying motivated is the key to achieving your goal. And then we have time bound. To assess your progress, you need a deadline for your goal. So how often are you going to assess your goal? Assigning a time frame provides you with an incentive to stay on track. Based on the above mentioned example that we just discussed, your new SMART goal is going to sound a little something like this. In 6 months, I want to ensure that I have grown my relationship with God. During the next 6 months, I'm going to, conduct Bible study in the morning and attend bi-weekly Bible study classes on Wednesdays to help me stay accountable. I'm also going to look for service opportunities by sharing my time and my knowledge with those less fortunate than me. Now, once again, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So you have to create and maintain a routine that's going to enable you to execute your goal. So if you fail to establish a routine early on in your God-centered goals, you're going to make one or both of the mistakes I'm getting ready to mention. You're going to make worldly goals and expect God to bless your mess. This means that you're just going to do whatever it is that you want to do and expect God to bless you regardless of whether that's what he wants for your life. Number 2, you know what you need to do. However, getting started seems so overwhelming that you start to procrastinate in implementing your God-centered goals. The reason folks experience this type of anxiety is because they don't have a system in place. You can't achieve your God-centered goals without following a routine. A rock-solid routine is going to help you reduce the time it takes to make progress on your goals. So this may be overkill, but throughout my life, the method of segmenting my day consists of what I call the following sections: start, drive, thrive, arrive. Okay? So the start portion of my day, and I'm just going to apologize right now to all of my night owl friends, but I am team morning all the way. Okay? You have to do what works best for you, but I truly believe that how you start your morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. So I find that I have the most energy in the morning. So the first 2 or 3 hours of my day, again, do what works best for you, but it looks a little something like this. I get up, I pray, I listen to the Abide app. I really enjoy their meditations, exercises, and then I'll read some devotionals on the YouVersion app. And by the way, I've got a couple devotionals on the YouVersion app as well, so I'll leave that in the description. And then I read the Bible, and then I will read a chapter from one of the Bible books that I happen to be reading at that time. I'm in between so many different books, and I'm just going to put this out there, shameless plug. If you're a Christian woman, you might want to check out my new book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right, and the workbook that accompanies it. So after I do that, I then start my exercise routine. I do some extreme fitness, or there's another trainer I've been following, Mr. London, so I'll do that. Then I check my calendar to see what tasks I need to work on for that day. So, I have 2 calendars. So I've got my 9 to 5 calendar, and then I've got my personal projects calendar. So I check both of them, and especially my personal projects calendar. I really pay a lot of attention to that because, as many of you know, I host the Hustle and Faith podcast, and I do voiceover work and all that other good stuff. So many times after work, I'll consult with clients or brainstorm episode ideas, things of that nature. So you get the point. So then the next phase of my day is called drive. Okay. So the drive portion of my day is spent executing all of the activities that I identified that I needed to work on during the start phase of my day. Then we finally arrive at thrive. Okay. So this is one of my favorite parts of the day because as much as I love to get things done, I love to learn even more. So literally each day, I try to devote at least a half hour to an hour learning a new concept or skill that's going to help grow my faith or my business. So that portion of the day is kind of, devoted to learning. And then last but not least, arrive. So this portion of the day is my chance to unwind. So oftentimes I'll study my Spanish. I'm currently studying Spanish. I'll exercise, kick back and watch a movie or a documentary. Again, this phase is all about reflecting on how the day went. I'll complete maybe my grateful notes. I'll leave that in the description. I'll journal in my gratitude journal. So this is how I set up my day, but I remind myself of my goals via my prayer board. So a prayer board is a great way to visually represent my goals. So Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he." And I always want to be in a position to see my God-centered goals. So on my prayer board, I've got a variety of things that I, have on my prayer board. I've got verses, photos to remind me of my goals. All these things remind me of my goals, and I made it with Canva, so you should check that out as well. Now, last but not least, once I've done all of that, I've got to trust God with the outcome, right? So getting caught up in achieving results is easy, but remember, success isn't always about the outcome. It's about obedience. So Proverbs 19:21 states, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." Regardless of what circumstances occur in your life, know that if you put God first, He's going to cause all things to work together for your good. Trust that God works through your efforts, even when things don't go as planned. This year, let's focus on goals that glorify God and align with His purpose and plan for our lives. And let me know in the comments, what's one God-centered goal you're setting for the new year? If you found this episode to be helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more faith-filled content. And remember, if you're everything to everyone, you risk being no one. You never know who you will inspire. See you in the next episode.